Sebelum Anda masuk ke video saya, ada baiknya Anda like dan subscribe dulu. Saya beri waktu 5 detik. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We do jump into our third match of the day. It'll be our first one here on Miramar.
And here we go. Pretty easy plane path, unless you're one of those guys that likes to go over towards El Pozo. But modifications in plane path feel like kind of the theme with a lot of these teams right now. A lot of plane paths have been a little bit cruel, so a lot of these teams have been having to make modifications. And remember, guys, these are just like voted in teams. So it's really hard to kind of figure out, okay, what's going to be our modification drop, because you have no idea where anybody else's modification drops are.
Yeah, and that definitely was something that hurt Korea in that last game, was they stuck with their South George drop, and then the circle ended up being an OP Gaming Rangers circle, went down to military base, and then they had an extremely difficult rotation to make, especially because I believe it was Vietnam and Turkey were fighting over boats in Primorsk, so it was really challenging for them. But this plane path is very favorable, Matcham.
The team I'm going to keep an eye on off the start here is not trying to pick on anybody, but Japan. They've had a little bit of woes getting started off in these first couple of games. It just feels like everywhere they go, it is just not working out for them. Meanwhile, everything's coming up roses for Chinese Taipei, even managing to just drop down, get the Murado as we hear that nice little, I always love the rumble that car puts out.
Sounds the best. It is the best sounding vehicle in the game. Might be the best sound in the game, period.
Give us an El Pozo circle.
I want
Do it.
I want prison. That's what I want. I want a prison circle.
You just are all about it. Okay, so pretty easy circle. Nothing too crazy here. So really, I mean, Russia's got to make their way down south just a touch. USA might have a little bit of trouble, but USA is going to do a wide rotation, probably going just due north and cutting in towards the west. But really, everybody's just going to be pretty comfortable in it. Now, one thing to note, Los Leones is pretty centered inside of this, and a lot of teams are not going to make plays around Los Leones, so that's going to be a lot of dead space inside of the circle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely probably going to be clustered on the northern half of this circle. Just the way that this kind of situation is going to pan out. You don't want to go anywhere in or around Los Leones just because it is so dangerous to come in and out of those cities. So most likely you're not going to see much of that. I mean, Chinese Taipei, they are south of Los Leones, so maybe, you know, they might have to make a move. We'll see exactly what they're going to do. I'm really going to be keeping my eye on them. It feels like they've been doing a pretty good job mixing up their strategies, but it seems they want to go more center, but who knows?
Speaking of mixing stuff up, looks like everybody's kind of starting to bring out their own jerseys, their team jerseys out, instead of just always relying on the country jerseys at this point. So kind of cool to see down there. I mean, Canada is naturally on the rise. You can see they're over there in 4th place, but I'm still caught up in this whole Sapao being a support player.
Yeah, what? Yeah, he's not the top fragger. Levi's is the top fragger from Vietnam.
So is he just popping off more than expected, or is it, what do you think is kind of going on with him?
I think it's just because Vietnam is always finding themselves in these late game situations, and he's just alive. You know, he's getting to be one of the players that's making it that far, because a lot of times your top fraggers or your shot callers are going to be the players that are taking the risk. They're the ones going out and getting information and being your front liner, whereas a support player just is naturally going to find themselves maybe a little later into the games.
I was expecting a little bit more out of China myself. 7th place, I mean, it's the top half, but really, we've seen China have some very stellar performances as we moved into international events, and it just feels like, I don't know, it's not the same China that I'm used to seeing. I'm expecting them to be a little bit more aggressive and make these just crazy pushes into buildings and just no fear. It almost feels like the first day gave them a little bit of an offense situation where they're playing off the back foot. We can see Basil's having a couple of shots pushed at him, but nothing too scary as he's going to make his way up the hillside.
Yeah, just dinged a little bit is Basil, but he'll be able to get on out of there. But going back to China, I think you're absolutely right, Matcham. They need to be more aggressive. I want to see the China that we used to see. Just push fights, third party everything, find kills any way they can. Now, they did have a good game here on Miramar yesterday in the second game when they got 2nd place. So maybe this is a map they feel a little bit more comfortable with. I know the Korean teams really like Miramar and they play really well on it, especially because they've got 2 of the top snipers in the region. So I think that's going to benefit teams, you know, that have good snipers here.
Team USA is a team that I was kind of, I mean, let's be honest, I'm from North America. I had high hopes. That's kind of the thing you always have for your region. Canada's doing quite well, but USA is just very quiet right now. And given some of the synergies that we see inside this team, it's not quite as natural as we're seeing for some of the other countries. A little bit more split coming inside of it, but I say that as we now make the switch over to Germany. I know a couple of our EU casters aren't too terribly pleased with their performance right now. I mean, it's no UK, but Germany's is having a little bit of troubles as well.
Yeah, it's been a struggle here for the US and Germany. And I think especially Germany, it's quite surprising because they're a team that has a lot of experience together. Coming into this, that was a big talking point. Teams that have played together, who has played with who in their regions. You know, sometimes they've changed teams, you know, as phase to phase goes on. But now Germany, this is a team that has played together pretty much a long time, and it hasn't really gone well for them at all.
A couple of shots now coming out across this. Nothing too terribly crazy, as you can see. We just have Vietnam just kind of post up, trying to see if they can catch anybody in these rotation points. Again, a lot of wide open spots. And I got to say, I was expecting more teams to kind of abandon Los Leones entirely. A lot of teams are still playing around those edges. Naturally, just to the north of Los Leones is a great territory position if you want good sight lines and you want to just be able to see for a long distance and catch people in rotation. That's why we're starting to see a lot of these teams post up here. Like, we can see Korea's off in this spot. Canada's just over the north of it. Vietnam's also post up in this position. Meanwhile, back down towards the south is where Canada is at. And oh my God, taking that bus up a hillside, it hurts my soul. It just moves so slowly.
Oh, Minoru, there's just no torque in those wheels on that van.
Go!
Zoid is trying to get it. The SKS shots are coming through, but that thing is tanky, and it's hard to get those bullets to come through.
All right, he manages to make it over that hillside. Just barely. I mean, that's got to be the most nerve-wracking last 5 feet to go up that hill. It's just like, come on. You know you could get out and push this thing faster than it goes up hills.
And you know that's when the window is going to be turning up, giving the angle to the opponent to try to shoot through there too. So Minoru is able to get through here for Thailand, trying to group up with the rest of his team. Oh no.
Come on, man.
But he ran into the, okay, somebody told me what that plant was and now I can't remember. It's not a cactus, some
plant.
other kind of plant. Now I don't remember.
I believe it's a yucca plant.
Sure. I believe you could have told me anything there, and I would have believed it, Matcham.
We're on cast right now, so I won't say any of the jokes that I was going to make there. All right, so we can see that Korea's got themselves a nice high ground position, surveying what's going on. But really, a lot of teams have already positioned up. Nobody's going to be pathing through this spot. Looks like a lot of teams that are still outside the circle are probably going to be moving back down towards the south or the north. No surprise there. Everybody here is very, very comfortable and knows how to handle these types of rotations when expected. And say that as Brazil just gets dropped. All right, Depp, there's a little bit of life coming in from the Japanese. You can see off to the side, they're going some shots. Gonna take down Rogi as well. That's already 2 down. RDNX taking a little bit of damage. Depp with a nice reposition. Positioning around the backside of it. This should be easy peasy. Lines up, gets one of them, and there we go. Brazil is out. Japan nets a full squad wipe.
And that's what Japan needed. Depp, their best player, with a huge play, and you can maybe hear the Japanese casters next to us getting very hyped. That was a much-needed moment for them. It had been a rough start for today, and they get 4 big kills, and they won't lose anyone.
Turn back around and look back down at our Japanese casters below us. Huge smiles on their faces. That was definitely the motivation. It's always nice whenever you're not having the best performance. You get that squad wipe, now you're starting to feel more comfortable taking these fights, because that's always what happens. You move down towards the bottom part of the leaderboard, and suddenly you just start playing so afraid. You're afraid to take any fights at any given moment. And I gotta say, that first spin coming out from Depp was so solid.
He is the best fragger in Japan, and he showed why there. They need more of that from him and the rest of this Japanese team. Incredible moment for them. Hopefully they can get some momentum built off of that. Meantime, USA making a wide rotation around Monte Nuevo as the circle starts to push them in. They'll be heading in through that western area. There's not much going on over in the very western part of the circle until you get to around east of Hokkaido where Korea is.
All right, so here we go. We've got UK looking back over towards Germany, seeing if they've got anything going on. Naturally saw USA doing that rotation back over towards the west, so they'll be making their way into the circle here in just a little while. Meanwhile, UK still looks like they're just kind of surveying things out, grabbing a motorcycle, making rotations. Circle's going to be condensing down in just a few more seconds, and that'll give everybody an idea on where they have to move. Feels like Germany is already in the process of starting to mobilize at that stage. I really do like that, especially in these early circles. Already be inside the vehicle, so the moment that the circle pops, you can make the modification, make the push to where you want to go. You can see USO's already popped up over there, and oh, this is gonna get dangerous for a couple of these teams real quick.
And what we were talking about earlier, where we said that everybody's going to want to go north of Los Leones. Now they all have to pay for it, and they have to make really quick, aggressive rotations to try to get in the center. The team that benefits from the most, Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, well, actually, and China, they're in a nice position as well. Meanwhile, teams like USA, long-distance rotations, as well as Australia. Korea, Aqua's taking some long-range shots back over towards them. I mean, again, it's that confidence coming in from Korea, and their fragging power on this team is just absolutely absurd.
They'll shoot at anything. And they're so confident.
And they'll hit it. That's the whole thing. They're
shoot
so
anything. Confident. They're so confident in their sniping, especially in Onyx and Pio, who I talked to the Korean players a little bit yesterday. They are given Pio and Onyx the green light to do whatever they feel is best, and that is why they are fragging out of their minds.
I mean, at this point, you just kind of let Pio do whatever he wants. He is top fragging inside of this event. See a couple of shots going out as people are making their rotations. Nothing really too dangerous as of this stage, but keep an eye on how Finland is moving as well as Turkey, as you can see on the map. Those could be telling factors as USA is doing that long rotation around. But look, Australia, Great Britain, Russia, all pushing back down from that northern part of the circle where we can see it's actually going to have Thailand, Canada, and Germany already in a similar spot where they might be making their way towards.
Yeah, I was just about to say maybe there's something going on here up by Austria and Great Britain, but Great Britain has pulled way ahead. Austria is now pulling off, so we won't see anything. Canada, now Maluk taking some shots at Germany, but nothing landing there onto Chris, so he's just going to back off here and maybe regroup with his team as Chris is able to safely move on.
Yeah, they were already rotating away from that location anyway. That was just a couple of shots. Mainly just a prayer, maybe get a couple of headshots off of it, but nothing too scary coming inside of that. Argentina making their rotations as well, hopping back inside those nice Murados again. Again, the least stealthy vehicle. And Russia trying to fix some driving issues here, giving it a little bit of a love tap, seeing if they can flip it, but are they just going to leave Uba there? I guess he flipped the vehicle, so it's like, now you're on foot.
That is the punishment there for Uba. But it looks like they're kind of in the position they were maybe looking for on the northeast edge of the circle anyway. Great Britain has posted up next to them. You can see Korea moving in here to the south part of Los Leones, just passing by this God building and some of these refineries and that kind of thing. So we'll see exactly what they want to do. Pio is acting as scout here, and he is acting as primary shot caller for Korea. So you'll see this a lot where the primary shot caller will act as your forward position.
Couple of shots going back now over towards Argentina. Looks like they decided to make a stop in somewhere that they're kind of regretting right now as Ribox is just huddled down back behind that little piece of cover. All the tires going out inside of his car, so it looks like that's going to be his home for quite a while. Argentina actually pushing back down inside of this. Looks like they're trying to make their way back down towards Los Leones, where you can see Vietnam is posted up at. But Vietnam, this is kind of an interesting spot. Not a lot of people will be rotating through this just because the walls just to the east. So I get the feeling that they're kind of posting up just praying for more circle favor as it is close towards the center. But if it does shift away from Los Leones, which we see a lot, it's very, very dangerous to get out of this location. Yeah,
exactly what I was thinking, Matrim. It's going to be really difficult for them to move through here, especially because Argentina's already up on the high ground, having the advantage over them there. So we'll see how that goes for them moving forward, moving over here to Australia, moving down the eastern coast here, passing by Russia, and it's pretty safe actually because of the way these rocks are sloped here, so they're able to actually leapfrog Russia here.
Australia may go ahead and making their push back down through that, and it goes back over towards Los Leones. So Vietnam getting a little bit of reward for that split from China where they're running the 2-1-1 just across that road. Well, it could be problematic, so that's why you see a couple of guys hopping inside of vehicles, could be regrouping. A lot of these teams back over towards the east really regretting these long distance rotations. Australia, I gotta say, it's gonna be interesting to see how they make their push through.
Yeah, Australia and Great Britain are going to have difficult rotations. Japan as well, as Turkey and Finland are already posted up, and in fact, they're battling each other. Tiksu gets the first knock onto Eero here.
Couple of shots now coming out. Finland's looking back down towards Turkey. Let's see if they line this up. Tiksu getting a couple of shots come back his way. Sixmo's trying to get a feel for where everybody in Finland's at. It's really hard to get off a full kill in this position, as Finland does. I don't know, maybe I think it's too far away to even hit a grenade with that. That's just really far out there.
Yeah, and a great positioning there by a beautiful death, knowing full well that the members of Finland can move up to that hill to try to get the angle onto the down member of their team, and they're able to protect that and get the res here.
Oh, look at this. You can see that Pio was thinking about making that push up the side of it. Next, he was off to the side. Everybody's taking those shots, and that's kind of the hazard that happens with Miramar. Once you take a couple of those shots at it, next thing you know, somebody can make this little interesting rotation. Pop up right next to you. That grenade does a lot of damage to a beautiful death as he just narrowly makes up that hillside, but it's going to be followed up with a grenade from Tiksu that is going to get the down.
Tiksu lands the grenade. Eero has moved up into the building, and down goes a beautiful death. A nice grenade from Samti to confirm that kill. In the meantime, Japan has rolled up onto Turkey in the background here as well. Another knock for them, as this is looking to be a good round for Japan, who we saw them get their one chicken dinner at the FACEIT Global Summit on Miramar.
So Finland's just trying to get a little bit more control over the situation. They still have the down back over towards Mert. Looks like Iroh's thinking about making the cross back over for it. Smokes are now coming down, but here comes the third parties. A couple of angles off to the side of it. Japan's going to make him kind of think twice about it. He really wants to commit to this, but he is taking so much damage. If he raises his head up right now, it is just going to get ripped off. Meanwhile, Mert is just bleeding out the entire time. Pio, so far separated out away from the rest of his teammates, going to take a little bit of damage now as he's right next to Japan.
Pio looking to see if he can sneak in a kill here as these teams are battling, but Say's in a great position to box him out here and keep him from doing that, so he will get in that Bronco and get out of here and regroup with his team possibly, but Say's has a good angle on this.
Oh, that is very, very dangerous. That's going to be a lot of damage coming back over to the Bronco, but that thing can take a ton. So meanwhile, you can see the rest of the guys from Korea are trying to line up, make sure to provide a little bit of covering fire. Pio is going to make it back up there, and I think Iroh is finally getting the res off, but it's going to come right around the time that Samty's going to get in grenade range, going to toss it down. Is it going to connect? It's going to roll just a little bit far. Going to go ahead and finish off Mert, but Iroh does live through it.
All right, Samty's just going to try to spray into the smoke here, and he gets the headshot onto Iroh. Keep in mind, Iroh already has one knock in the belt, so he is probably going to go down here as the other members of Turkey have already left this situation.
And it looks like we are getting a Los Leones game. All of these, we kept talking about how these guys are going to try to move away from it because it's so hazardous to get out of. Well, now it's kind of the position flipped as everybody's going to have to start making their push back over towards it. China already going for a nice reposition on it. USA getting rewarded as well as Vietnam for their positioning. But so many teams are going to have to make very difficult rotations here.
This is going to be really interesting, and Vietnam, with the roll of the dice here, paying off for them, rolling sevens on the craps table, and they are once again in a nice position, looking to maybe find a way to get into that late game once again, but there's a lot of teams who've got to make big rotations.
See, China already on the move, has to be very, very cautious. I wouldn't be surprised if they've been exchanging a couple of shots back and forth. Looks like Canada has managed to spot out SR, going to go ahead and flush that out. Separation coming out from the rest of the team as well, so looks like they're just trying to make their way up. They actually are taking a couple of shots back over towards Australia, so now it looks like going for a little bit of reposition off of it. Vasily trying to figure out exactly where those shots came from. Zoidmate narrowly misses looking back over. Finally does spot out Milk, but going to take a couple of shots a little bit too late.
Vasily's got the angle, but the other members of Australia are there as well, and down goes Chaiwei. He will surely be flushed as well. A great surround here from the Aussies, but here comes Finland, capitalizing on this situation, trying to put some shots down into Zoid.
Finland just wants to join the party, get any points that they can possibly get right now. Zoidmate realizing he might be in a little bit of trouble. Too many third parties are coming to play. Vasily goes down as well as Drassel managed to get a nice line onto it, but it's actually going to be stolen back over from Jimty.
Wow, this is crazy here. Finland doing a great job this round. 4 kills for them already. All 4 members up, not getting caught out in transition. What a grenade from Jemty onto Luke there as well. So right now, Finland starting to pick it up.
Here's the problem, though. The blue is coming in. You can see Canada already on the move. Australia is in a lot of trouble, losing member after member right now. And it looks like Finland is just on the hunt for anybody that they can possibly find. They're in a nice gatekeeping position out. Insight's trying to figure out, okay, what do I do from this stage as Finland just has him boxed in?
Nothing. He does nothing. If I'm Insight, I don't want anyone to know what is going on. We're jumping over to Korea. They're in a battle with a couple teams. They just finished off Turkey. A nice headshot from Anonix. Piro does have the eyes onto Depp here, looking to cook a grenade, see if he can get it. It is in the air, but it looks like it's going to bounce just right.
A lot of smokes down for Depp right now. He is just trying to survive through the hellfire of grenades that are dropping around him. We have the Korea with the high ground looking back over, but look at the reposition off to the side of it. There is one Japanese member that's trying to get into a flank position, and at the exact moment, Pio actually moves back down that hillside.
I think Korea might want to consider backing off of this. None of those grenades connected, and it's been a long time since they've started throwing them. That allows a lot of time for Japan to reposition and help their teammates. Moving over to Vietnam, other teams are starting to collapse into the center of Los Leones as this circle is forcing them in.
Look at how many teams have already moved into Los Leones. We've got stacks of people just within a building or two of each other. Vietnam is looking back over towards Russia. Russia's running a little bit of split. Argentina's still just trying to make their way, find a little bit better of a position from where they can play at. Germany's already up towards the north of it, and it is just a peak battle at this stage. Every single window could have some type of enemy that's just going to take a shot and rip your head off, so you have to find just the right angles. Argentina realizing, okay, maybe this is a little bit too hazardous, trying to get some information. They do line up, see one of them. Are they going to take the shots back over for it? Because the moment they do, the rest of the team's going to come through. Circle does move back over towards Los Leones, and this is going to get real dangerous real fast.
Yeah, this is going to be a very intense final couple circles here. There's going to be a lot of real estate for teams to set up it with and work with. So I am curious to see how this one's going to play out. There could be as many as 10 teams left in the Phase 7, Phase 8 circles.
Well, we could have a ton of solos just kind of sneaking around, finding little spots to survive at. Kaint slowly moving up and forward. Got to be very, very cautious as, again, he has somebody right in the building to his left. There's a couple of people across the street in front of him. A couple of shots now coming up from Ribox off to the side of this. Minoru's back behind this and just wants nothing to do what's happening. Just a Hail Mary grenade being like, okay, maybe this will make you just go away. Kaint's just going to move away from it, but shots come out from Russia on the other side. Kaint, this is the problem with whenever you fight in Los Leones, there's just people everywhere.
Kaint was flushed out of his position by Argentina right into the waiting arms of Russia, who are able to confirm that kill. In the meantime, Duckman picks up a kill of his own. Korea with a dangerous rotation here, trying to get into this circle any way they can. They are busting into this God complex, and it looks like they are getting taken apart here a bit. PO is down.
Very, very dangerous right now as USA's looking back down towards him. Sharky, you can see he's just trying to find the right angle to look through this. The mini-map is just a plethora of different colors. Korea does manage to get at least 3 members into this position. As you can see, the wreckage that did take down one of their members back behind them. Finland also slowly creeping inside of this circle, but we still have 13 teams alive, and I want to say everybody has managed to make it inside the circle except for UK right now.
Yeah, it's going to be really tight here. Finland is working their way in. Japan is the southern side. Nobody is really on the western half of the circle except for the surviving members of Germany up there. That's it. That is all that is in that real estate. Everyone else is clustered around these middle compounds.
See, Finland's just like, we don't want to go in there. That is a place of scariness and death. We'll just hang out across this hill. But Maluk actually separated out away from the team is going to be following right back behind how Finland is making this approach. Could be kind of interesting depending on how this plays out. Japan got themselves a nice little bit of spread over here. They're at 5 kills at this stage, so definitely feeling a little bit better than the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, it looks like maybe Canada is considering here that we're just going to hedge our bets, send our last 2 players in different directions, and just try to find a way to snake in here as a solo, try and get some placement points. But Maluk is taking a lot of damage here from Chinese Taipei.
That's a lot of trouble. You can see a ton of smokes are down. K-Mine is just trying to jump between them and survive through Chinese Taipei's damage that they're trying to put out towards him. This is such a hazardous position. He has to be so careful. Gonna opt into playing away from them right along the blue. Gonna take a little bit of damage just to make sure to get a little bit more separation. He can hear another firefight that's happening up towards the north. So gonna go ahead and opt into playing around that. New circle pops, but you can see it is so dangerous up here.
Yeah, it has gone south here, so a lot of teams already trying to reposition, find a way to get a little bit more central. Depp does confirm to kill onto a member of Finland here, so another big kill here for Japan as they're looking to continue this good round, but a huge firefight is breaking out in the middle of the city.
You can see China tried to go for a rotation, does get away with it, but the amount of people that were shooting at the moment that they made that push is absolutely insane. We still have 36 people alive at this stage of the game, and there is near on no real estate back over towards the eastern part of this circle. So many of our teams have tried to occupy that spot. A couple of solos might be able to sneak into the west, but that is about it.
I love the 2-2 split the Americans have here. They have control of the central area of the circle, and they have so much vision of everything that's to the south. There's a lot of open area there. Leo getting some huge shots there, but Sharky is the one who actually knocks Mexi.
Now you can see repositions coming out. Grenade's going to go off to the side of that. Maybe get something out of it, but now going to bounce a little bit away. You can see Argentina playing along that tower position, which could have great sight lines, but it is so dangerous to move to that high ground because the moment you profile up there, so many snipers are going to spin back over towards you. That's why Ribox is kind of playing towards the middle of it. He doesn't want to overextend on the outside of this because he could just get demolished the moment he looks over. And I don't know, he's getting a little bit brave with this. I mean, that's Argentina play style, but I gotta say, this is very, very hazardous.
Hey, there was a level 3 vest on the ground there for him, so
Pays off, right? Pays off.
Wasn't the worst. A nice little jump there too, but like you were saying, you don't see many people in that compound in these Los Leones circles. It's just so dangerous, and you can see Russia can just wait this out, and Argentina's trying to find some way in.
I want to say that might actually pay off for him because everybody's expecting these ground fights. Once you move into this type of position, the verticality becomes such a big factor. You can have all of these crazy sightlines that nobody is expecting. I gotta say, I wouldn't have expected anybody standing on top of this wall at this point.
He was looking down like,
he's gonna get away from it. Gonna get some damage onto Godbeat. barely manages to make it away from that.
But now he is spotted. His location has been revealed because he has made some noise here. He isn't able to get that knock onto Godby either. He has not many great options here. I think he's just going to try to find some damage because two other members of Argentina are in there. Ernexer goes down here. Nice shooting there from Kemba. That's pretty much going to be him dead to rights as the circle closes in.
Meanwhile, we saw Finland's in a little bit of trouble as well. Argentina is just trying to survive through what they can. I wouldn't be surprised if this is probably just going to be a bleed out in this position. Russia might opt into going for the push on it, but that is so hazardous. They don't know what's going around this angle. Ribox is kind of bouncing his way down here. Got to be careful as he doesn't want to take too much damage. You can see the way the circle is set right now. Everybody is back over towards the east except for Japan. Honestly, Japan is in a great and comfortable position, but they're not going to get a lot of kills, and that's what they need. They need those points.
Southern edge Miramar circles are how Japan gets it done there, and oh my goodness. Russia is trying to bring it in onto Ernexer here, preventing Ribox from getting this res, and they're doing a good job boxing him out, and in fact, they get a knock on the reels here in the meantime.
Great Britain and our UK is so far out right now. Michael has so much work in front of him to make this push back over here. You can see Russia's kind of in a gatekeeping position as well as Vietnam. So has to be very, very careful depending on how these pushes come through. Germany's just on the outside of this being very, very comfortable. Like, no, everybody else fight. I want nothing to do with what's going down. And meanwhile, smokes upon smokes are coming through and you can see the counter grenades are going through. This is a lot of utility being used. Uba does go down from a nice grenade from Pome. Now it's just a matter of how does Russia want to compete with this? They can't even step through that doorway. It is just grenade after grenade. They did manage to get one member off to the side of it. A doozy is up right next to Nizam, but has to be so cautious.
And the USA, because of their position, they have a lot of utility to utilize here to block these other teams from advancing. Now you're going to see Uba try to cross the road. China in a battle. Inonix rolling down the stairs here as there's a big fight breaking out in the middle. Ribok trying to make Russia pay. He does. He gets the revenge there onto a doozy.
Yeah, you can see Inox trying to think about making the push back down. He hears the footsteps all around him, just trying to figure out, does he want to get a little bit more brave with the angle on it? Milk goes down on the outside of it. Look at that, Inox just walks up. Korea manages to wipe them out, gets a little bit more control of the angle. Now looking back over towards China. Has to be very, very careful. Does see the fact that there is that little bit of a tree. That's where they were at right now. Lost line of sight of them. China wants out of this position, realizing it's very hazardous, now making their way back over to where Russia is at, and we saw how hazardous that location was.
Yeah, China wants nothing to do with this. They're trying to get more central circle, but this top part of the circle is already so clustered. USA still in an amazing position, even though Nizam has managed to find a way to get into that building below them. Pome looking down here. Mikhail getting a ton of kills, though, onto Argentina.
Pome does manage to line up over towards UK, taking a couple of shots. Michael's playing through the smoke. You can see every direction you look, there's a person. That's going to be a grenade just getting down onto one of the members from UK. Trying to figure out how they're going to go with anything off. This follow-up grenade does manage to take them down. Meanwhile, look at this. Nim just watches USA go by. They're right on the other side of this doorway. Shots are going to come through. Bawaka takes a lot of damage. Does get dropped off of that. Nim is just holding on by a thread right now, just trying to dodge all the incoming damage. Finally does get dropped, and now everything's back over to Sapao.
Nim doing the best thing he could, but now it is all up to Sapao. Once again, the last surviving member here for Vietnam. He's just finding ways to get into the late game. Meanwhile, China has moved out of the circle because of its next shift, so they're trying to wrap around the north side, maybe pick up some kills, maybe get a little aggressive here. I'd love to see them do that.
Pome is still playing up towards the top of the rest of Argentina. You can see the grenades are starting to pop off. Long throws coming out over there, so fairly blind, but Argentina retreats away from it, but now very aware they're in a hazardous spot. I've said hazardous like 5 times, but everything is hazardous at this point.
There's so much danger everywhere.
I mean, this is just, it's so hard to play on. Whenever you have the caliber of player inside of this, I mean, we've got maybe 100, 200 meters that we're looking at and some of the best killers in the world. It is just a peak battle from every single spot. You can see China's trying to figure out how they're going to make their push through here. Korea's still looking back over towards them. It is just a bloodbath waiting to happen. Somehow USA's managed to carve a path in towards the front. Russia's Uba does get the down onto one of the members from Argentina, but is going to use that opportunity, not even concerned with the kill, just wanting to try to get out of a very dangerous spot.
I think that's a smart play by the Russian players here. Prioritize position over these kills. Says does finish off a member here. Udir does go down for Germany. They are down into 8th place. Now we've got Sapao picking up more kills. Just how does he keep doing this?
December steps right over next to Yannick, and Yannick says no. Gonna try to go for the follow-up, but he does go down in the exchange. The flush comes out, but Korea is just on the hunt. China's playing off this. Loki took a ton of damage, realizing he has to back away from this. Now moving off to the side of it, Summer's trying to figure out where he's gonna go, trying to predict this. Meanwhile, Aqua 5 is off to the side of this. Aqua's looking back that direction, but managing to have to be very careful. December slowly bleeding out onto one side of it. Loki did manage to get his health up. Summer does go down. Now this has turned into a 2v1. Loki's looking back that direction. China is in a lot of trouble. Gonna go for the res. Is Korea gonna play this? No. God V is off to the side of this. Gonna have to be very careful.
Yeah, Aqua 5 is gonna have to back off a little bit here. Here comes the Hail Mary grenade from Godby, trying to buy his team a little bit of time, seeing if they can get these reses. They do get Summer back up. Loki is waiting here, trying to see if he can capitalize on China being a little bit aggressive. We found our final circle though, Matcham, so time is running out.
It's all down to condensing towards the center. 16 people still alive. Grenades are bouncing back down that hallway, trying to connect with anything. Korea's not in the spot, separated out, trying to find different angles. You can see Japan's having a little bit of trouble making their way back towards this circle. Loki has moved up towards the high ground. This could be huge. If he manages to sneak across this, he could look back down towards him and get a ton of damage. But it's going to be Godby that's holding that outside angle. Loki does manage to spot him out. That's going to be the opening opportunity that they have. Can they line up the next shot? Just goes for the flush off of it, retreats back into a little bit more protected position, repositions off of it, actually opts back into it. Looks like he wants to go for this push. He knows he has to move very, very quickly. The circle is coming up. Gonna drop back down, goes for the flank, gets one, goes for the peek back over the other side, just decides for the flush. Does go down though. Now it is just down to one member for Korea. It's gonna be Aqua 5 slowly crawling through, but you can hear the firefight has drawn a lot of attention as Japan is just raining grenades back over here.
Japan trying to find a way to get in the circle. Depth has been killed for them, but they've got a lot of smokes and a lot of cover here. Zampa trying to put some shots out. Another big grenade, but Sharky getting a knock on the Shinbi. Down goes Japan. Well done by USA, gatekeeping them.
But that provides an opportunity. Aqua 5 was in a very bad spot, so now with Japan being removed, can crawl slowly forward. You can see Mad 98 off to one side of it. USA very separated out. They just gotta hunt people down. But look at this. It's actually gonna end up with a Team USA victory. Here we go. Team USA!
You decide if you're